Good morning, everyone. It's Laura Clark, your Soul-Wise Living Mentor, supporting you to hear your inner wisdom more consistently, understand it more clearly so that you can act upon it more courageously, to step out by following your own light, living your own truth, and loving your own life so that you can truly be the magnetic, attractive spiritual soul that you are. I am excited to be here today. We are in part one of a 4-part workshop for how to overcome overthinking and overwhelm so that you can live your truth. And I've done a lot of work in creating this 4-part workshop, mostly from the insights that I've gotten throughout my own life, as well as working with the many clients I've had over the many, many years. So a few things, some housekeeping housekeeping options. I have a, where is it? There it is. I have a link so that if you want to follow, here we go. If you want to follow along, I have a link that gets you to a PDF doc that gives you some space to write down. I'm one of those people that really likes writing down and following with people. So there's the link over there for you for today, and I'll get you the links for the other videos soon. The other thing is that I am live, and even if you're watching the replay, throw in questions, ahas, those things that you want to ask, that you want to acknowledge along the way, because I will be answering them live, and then if you're throwing them in during the replays, I'll be back throughout the week to answer those as well. So, don't feel like if you're not getting something that you won't be able to ask questions. Throw them into the comments. I'll be over there as I can. And then share too, because during this 4-part series, I am going to be having a raffle. So each time you comment and or you share, you get put into the raffle. The person who shares the most will win. And I have the prize today. I have a prize on Wednesday. I have a prize on Friday. And I have a huge grand prize next Monday when we finish this entire series. So those are things that we can be working on. So a couple of things. I want to talk with you about how I look at soul, how I look at living, and how I look at truth. All right. So our soul is our spiritual entity. It's that thing that we will take with us to the next realm, that was there before this realm. It's the thing that weaves throughout life. That is our soul. It's the unique essence that bodies our spirit. And that's important to understand, because some people have different ideas and concepts on it. The second thing is living. What is living? What is it that brings us to a place where we get up each morning, where we go through the day, and where we can sit down before we put our head on the pillow and say, that was a good day? Because it's not just getting up and breathing and eating and going through strides. Everybody can do that. But it takes somebody special. It takes somebody like you who wants to truly be stepping out as their purposeful, passionate individual. So living is the passionate pursuit of responding to one's calling or purpose. It is that response and the way we act passionately and based upon our own purpose. I'll be talking a lot about purpose through this series, because that is a golden thread. We'll talk about golden threads a lot on Wednesday. And your truth is the quality, it's the state of being in full accordance with your soul's purpose, truly aligned with what you are supposed to be doing from the day that you're born to the day that you leave this body. And it's the fundamental essence and core of who we are. Some people will call it purpose, some people will call it truth, some people will call it something completely else. All right. So we're going to do, we're going to talk a lot about overwhelm and overthinking today, and then move forward from that, because we really want to get to a place of not overthinking and not being in overwhelm. So we have to start at the beginning, right? You cannot truly understand being overwhelmed unless you start and understand what you desire. What is it that you desire? Because if you don't know that fundamentally, then you are not able to step forward. So you have to really truly know what it is that is your guiding light, right? And those desires that come from it, those things that we want. So here's some things. When I say these, see how they resonate. Time. We want time to pursue our passions. We want a place. We want a sacred place to pursue our passions. We want someone or a community, supporters to help us pursue our passion. We want peace. We want to be in a place of true peace, inner peace, that allows us to pursue our passion. Joy. When we're not vibrating high, it's difficult to pursue our passions. Balance. Balance is important because we are in a world that requires us to do many things. So we need balance to pursue our passions. And we need to be able to express ourselves in a way that others understand what our passions are. Money. Money to pursue our passions. So what is it that you truly desire? Money, time, a sacred place, someone to share it with, peace, joy, balance, expression. What is it you truly desire in those things? When we understand that, we can get to our purpose. When we understand our desires, then we can see what's fueling them. But if we're not looking at them objectively, if we're not looking at our desires as a sacred observer of our life, we're never going to get to that. What is the driving force? What is our purpose for moving forward? Okay. So what is it you truly desire? What is that thing that is like the proverbial carrot that you just never quite get? When we understand that, when we understand our purpose, we can see from a sacred observer perspective how we are not acting in alignment to truly step forward to get that. Okay? So those things that stop us, the common traps of living your truth, there are so many. And in discussion with a lot of clients over the course of last spring and into the early part of the summer before I took my work vacation time, I did a lot of conversation about what are the traps, what are the fears, what's holding you back from truly living your purpose, living your truth. And I did a really big survey of hundreds of people this fall, trying to figure out what their number one challenge was. These are some things that they came up with. Lack of clarity about their truth. How can you live your truth if you're not clear about it, right? Procrastination. That can also be fear of the past, fear of the future, just that thing that forever evades our abundant rewards, our fears. Getting out of our own way, not allowing ourselves the confidence to take the next step. Being too hard on yourself. And I'll put my hand up for that one. Being too hard on yourself. Because when we're hard on ourselves, we're talking about all the negative things we see in ourselves, and we start shrinking instead of expanding. So those are common traps. But above all else, the two things that came in top amongst the people that I've spent time with and polled was overthinking and overwhelm, and they tie into each other so easily. Overthinking and overwhelm. So what is being an overwhelm? You know, you have to define it, and you look at being an overwhelm as being defeated, right? Just not being able to step forward, being defeated, weighing down, stopping yourself, paralyzing action. It's an overpowering instead of an empowering state of being. So it's an overpowering where we're in overwhelm. We can't do much. Overwhelming space versus an empowering space. When we are empowered, we're easily stepping forward. When we're overwhelmed, we don't. We can become paralyzed because there's just too much. There's too much clutter, there's too much chatter, there's too much coming at us, and it's impossible to step forward. So let me tell you a little bit about myself if you don't know some of my history. I have tons of stories, right? We all do. But back in the 90s, early 90s, I left my community, my home, because I was gifted a promotion in working for the YMCA's, and I moved away. And in a space of not truly being aware of my purpose, not truly being aware of my truth, and being immersed in a place where I didn't have a lot of support, where I didn't have a lot of community, where I didn't have the confidence to step forward, I embarked on a road towards depression, and indeed ended up fully depressed. And there were two reasons, other than that, two real reasons why that happened. Yes, I didn't have confidence. Yes, I didn't have the support. Yes, I didn't have the means to continue to move forward. I wasn't embracing a lot of the spiritual tools that I use now, because this was the pre-Laura. This was kind of an earlier ideation of me. But there were two things that really happened that allowed me to fully get overwhelmed and fully get depressed and step into a place where I needed medical intervention. And that was my overthinking. And it was my response to the overthinking. So we can overthink, but it's how we respond to it. If we start thinking and we're overthinking and we respond appropriately, we can see that overthinking, we can stop it, then we act based on our best interests. But when overthinking gets to a point where your response and your action begins to mimic that overthinking in a negative way, it is disempowering and you step into overwhelm. And for me, that was a place of depression. So I can still hear my tapes. These are tapes that were so embedded in me throughout my young years and into college and beyond. There were two tapes, and I didn't hear them back then. I was going through the world totally subconscious. My total subconscious was taking over because I didn't hear these tapes. I wasn't being the sacred observer. We'll talk a little bit about how to be the sacred observer in a few minutes. But the two tapes that I'm thinking of are, my mom was a great person, love her energy. She's been gone for about 15 years now, and I miss her every day. But she had some mental illness, and she had challenges overcoming because of being overwhelmed, and her tapes that were driving her life. And I kept saying to myself, I don't want to be my mom. I don't want to be my mom. I don't want to be my mom. I don't want to be like my mom. And all the universe would hear is like my mom. Oh my goodness, she desires to be like her mom. They're hearing like my mom, because the law of attraction is you get what you're thinking. It doesn't hear the negative. It hears only the positive. So I walked myself into being like my mom. And that was kind of a pretty ugly, ugly place when you're in depression. And then the second tape that I kept saying to myself was, I'm fat, lazy, and a slob. I'm fat, lazy, and a slob. Well, so I kept having those tapes. I don't want to be like my mom. I'm a fat, lazy slob, running through my head all of the time. Law of attraction, that's what I ended up stepping into. I gained a lot of weight. I got kind of lazy because, yes, I showed up at work. Yes, I kept doing all of the responsible things that I needed to do for others, but I did none of those responsible things for myself. So, Sundays would come around and I would spend the entire day in bed. Because of these tapes, they were coming to fruition. I was bringing them to fruition. So when you are overthinking, it can take you into overwhelm. So I want you to think a little bit about what you're overthinking about. The other ways of getting into overwhelm and overthinking is overcommitting, right? You're overcommitting to things, or by not saying no, or you've got woman complex. Where's my cape, right? You've got a cape and you put it on, you tie it around yourself, and you've got superwoman complex where I can do everything. I can do everything. But eventually, the more you say yes to everything, the less you're able to do. But all of these things really lie in two things that you're doing for yourself. And that is, you're not recognizing your own purpose, purpose, and not owning your own truth. You might see your own truth. You might believe in your own truth. You're not owning your own truth. You might hear your own truth. You might understand your own truth, but you're not taking courageous action. You're not owning your own truth. When we can recognize our own purpose and fully own our own truth, we don't step into overwhelm because we set boundaries. We say no to others. We only say yes to those things that truly ignite our purpose and our passion. Even if you have a sick child at home, if your purpose and your passion is your child, taking care of an ill child becomes something that raises your vibration because it's your truth and you're owning it. And therefore, you're going to do it really well versus the person who's trying to take care of an ill child who their purpose and their passion, yes, is their child to take care of it, but now we're being distracted by all these other purposes and passions, and you're not owning that truth in that particular time. We're going to talk a lot about being present in the third video, being present to owning your own truth. Annie's on this morning, and she's saying then those thoughts get stronger and stronger the longer we think them. It's like training those thoughts for an ultra marathon. Ugh. It is. It's the ultra light marathon, right? Where we are just repeating, and going forth. And I think that it's truly hard to shift your mindset when you don't have the ability to be the sacred observer. It's truly hard to step out of those thought patterns unless you have the support of people who understand how they work and how they embed themselves neurologically into our own being. And when we have the understanding of that, and when we can counter them, we can step forward. So, I kept saying I don't want to be like my mom because I didn't want to go into depression. I embraced that. I turned that all around in my late 30s, going through this journey of mine to support my mother because she was a vibrant, loving, talented woman. And I want to be like her. I want to be like some of the traits that were her best qualities. So it was easy when I hear that I don't want to be like my mom to shift it to, I want to be the mother that smiles that my mom had. I want to have the smile that my mom had, because her smile was one that just emanated, I'm here for you. Let me listen. I want that smile. I want people to say, gosh, she's here for me. She can hold that sacred vessel so I can grow. And I'm safe in there. That's what I want my smile to convey. So when I hear the tape of I don't want to be my mom, I shift it now easily to I want to embrace my mom's smile. I want to embrace that part of my DNA that comes through like that. When I hear the fat, lazy slob tape, which, honestly, I have not heard that in a long, long, long time. I shift it. I am well, I am productive, and I am strong. Those are things that I would shift. I would just rearrange it and create a new mantra, which takes us to the space of being a sacred observer and finding that quiet. Finding that quiet. I want to read something to you that I've had on my wall, and I've had this ever since I was in college as a resident assistant. And here it goes. It says, listening to your heart, finding out who you are, is not simple. It takes time for the chatter to quiet down. In the silence of not doing, we begin to know what we feel. If we listen and hear what is being offered, then anything in life can be your guide. Listen. Listen. So those are things that this finding the quiet so that you can stop overthinking and step away from overwhelm aligns perfectly with how I support my membership program, my clients, my family, my community, and that's allowing yourself to become the sacred observer through the use of the 4 elements. 4-element theory comes from many different cultures, most especially the Native Americans. And it really is about who we are as an individual and an entity. Okay? And we're made up of 4 distinct parts of ourselves. We're made up of our thinking. We're made up of our emotions. That's what makes us human, our emotions. We are made up of our physical self, this physical being, body, right? And we are made up of our spiritual essence, that soul, that connection to universal light. If you use God in your language or your belief systems, it's the part of you that is godlike. If you use connection to Mother Earth, it's the part of you that is Mother Earth. If you use a connection to spirit or universe, it's the part of you that is that light that comes from those places. So it's really the physical being and the spiritual being. The spiritual being, you can use these 4 elements, regardless of your belief system. Let me rephrase that. You can use this regardless of your belief system, because I don't know of yet, there might be one out there, culture, belief system, religion that doesn't embrace your 4 essences in some way, shape, or form. So let's look at that. Let's look at these 4 places that are us. We are our thinking self, and that is represented by the element of air, right? So if you're in meeting and you're just overthinking and you're beginning to get an overwhelm, and a good leader is seeing this, they're going to say, let's take a break, go outside, get some fresh air. Because a good leader, whether they realize they're using the element of air or not, recognizes that fresh air allows you to stop the overthinking, get breath into you that breathes in new energy, helps raise the vibration, and allows you to start thinking clearly. So, I always have a feather around because a feather reminds me of the element of air. So whenever I start the path of overthinking, I have something that stops me. Of course, taking that deep breath will help stop. The other thing that I have, which I really love in my office, is a wind chime. Because wind chimes, wind carries, or sound is carried through the wind, it's carried through air. And it reminds me to stop overthinking. Just stop. Take a deep breath and get back into a space. That's what a wind chime helps you do. It helps you get back into a space of clarity. So the first element is the element of air. The second part of our self is that emotional self, that entity that responds to life circumstances. It's how we respond emotionally, right? So we may respond to things in a way that is positive, is negative in your mind, is mournful, is sorrowful, is sad. We may respond to something with joy, with love, with light, or anything in between, right? Tears may happen because of that response. Tears may happen because you are in sorrow, because you're in pain, because you are sad. Tears can happen because you are in great joy. Tears will happen. They don't represent the underlying current of that emotion. It's the underlying current we want to understand. And we want to soothe those emotions because our emotions do not define who we are. Our emotions are just part of our human experience. And if we respond emotionally, I mean, think about it. How many purchases have you made that are emotional purchases that were not for your highest good? Clearly, when you're not being a sacred observer of your emotions and you go out, you're going to make a purchase that is not for your highest good. Great example, last night. Last night, we had a great day. I went for a really great walk, and then I went for a hike with the girls. I did some cleaning. I did some clearing up of the office. Realized I was out of coconut creamer for my coffee in the morning. Ran to the store. Ran to the store hungry. Ran to the store thinking about what dinner was going to be. Dinner was home, all prepared, but I ran to the store. And I walked in, and it's October. It's October 1st today, and what is happening in stores? Halloween, right? And I walked in, and I was like, chocolate, I want some chocolate. And I knew it wasn't for my highest good, and I grabbed a bag, and I threw it in my cart, and I ran down and got the coconut creamer. I was just going in for coconut creamer. Ran back through the dog aisle, got some biscuits for the dogs, saw a cute toy. They had been so great during the day. I figured, oh, they need some new toys. Clearly they don't because they're spoiled rotten, but I grabbed a new toy and I started walking back to checkout. And I'm like, what am I doing? I caught myself because I know what my highest good is. I'm connected fully with my purpose and my passions. I have 6 of them that I am following this year because of the work that I've done for myself, that I've gone deep into understanding my 6 passions. And I looked at the chocolate and I went, that is not for my highest good today, right now. And I quickly took it out. Didn't feel guilty about putting it on a rack that it didn't belong on because I knew I needed to get it out of the basket. And then I was walking past the florist and there was a beautiful new succulent. And I was like, that is for my highest good. That is going to be my gift for having such a great day, not the chocolate. This is my gift to me. And I came home. So I was responding emotionally by getting those purchases, right? But then my higher good came in and said, tap me on the shoulder. What's your highest purpose? What's your passion? What's your purpose? What's the best choice? And yes, the dog toy stayed in the bag because that was the best choice for my dogs, right? So that's the air, and then water connects with what the element of water connects with our emotions. So when you think about it, if you're having a difficult day, and you're acting emotionally, you're responding emotionally, you are behaving emotionally rather than from your inner light and your inner love, somebody's going to tell you to go jump in a lake. Somebody's going to say, go cool off. And water will do that. Water helps you cool off. And indeed, I had my water bottle with me as I was going down to pick up the coconut creamer and grabbed the chocolate, and I took a sip of it. And that's what helped reset me to allow me to hear the sacred observer. So I got my water here. I'm going to take a sip right now. All right, so those are the 2 of the 4 elements. Annie is saying she loves that. Air always works. You just made me realize why. Ah, there you go. Excellent, excellent. The second 2 things that we need to recognize in order to become our sacred observer and find the quiet, hear those best messages from ourselves and from Source, is to embrace both our physical self and our spiritual self. Our physical self, you can easily see this as a connection to Earth, right? Because we are human beings on this Earth. When I teach this in the middle of winter, I will ask somebody, when was the last time you went out and walked barefoot? And they'll look at me like I have 18 heads. And oftentimes I will, with a client, go out and we'll walk barefoot in the snow. There's a deep connection to Earth that allows us to stand tall and strong. So think about when you really are connecting with moss. If you've been out this summer, connected with the sand on a beach, connected with grass, even connected with cement, because that has been made from rocks, which is part of Earth. When you truly start walking and feeling your foot connecting to what it's stepping upon, you will feel and draw in the energy of Mother Earth, which is full of strength, full of love, and full of support. So some ways to easily do that is to use some gemstones, right? I have some shale from our river, and rose quartz always on my desk, because if I'm feeling anything less than confident, anything less than strong, if I'm focusing on an ache in my body, or you get a headache, or something's just not out of something a little out of kilter, and you got to kind of sit up strong, connecting to Earth elements will help you realign your physical self in a way that's strong. One of my favorite all-time gemstones is Freenite. It's Phrenite, Freenite. And Freenite has so many really positive, empowering qualities that this is a beautiful bracelet necklace that I received from one of my mentors. And I have some earrings, so having some intentional jewelry around will help you connect. Having wood, anywhere you can. Best thing to do when you're feeling less than strong in your body is to go hug a tree. Be a tree hugger. But no, seriously, go hug a tree and just allow its strength to fill you up and raise your vibration. The 4th element is fire. And fire is connected to your spiritual self. When we think about fire in cultures, right? You think about the fire pits of Native Americans, where they dance around and call in spirits and call in support from the universe with the element of fire. That is a Native American culture. When you think about a religion, there are always candles in a church, typically, that inspire you to connect with Source. Fire is the element that helps you connect with your spiritual self. So if you are feeling like you're losing faith and or losing trust in yourself and the world, connecting with fire really will help you see what's good about this that I'm not seeing. Where can I find the faith in myself to continue to take those courageous steps? And of course, going outside and putting your face to the sun and allowing that to fuel you and connect to spirit will help realign you and hear your own inner wisdom. And get quiet, because it's in this quietude, it's in this space of sacred contemplation. You can see yourself. You can see how you're responding, how you're thinking, What emotions are driving you forward? Where in your body are you holding yourself back? Because we always hold ourselves back in our body somewhere when we're not fully moving forward courageously and on purpose. And where can we realign with ourselves so that we can renew our confidence, renew our trust in self and faith in source to move forward and propel yourself. Because the ability to connect lovingly, to yourself is the ability to move forward. So becoming the sacred observer of all that you do allows you to hear your inner wisdom and really understand it. When we hear our inner wisdom and when we begin to understand it, we can start flaming and inspiring ourselves to move forward in that direction, which is the true direction of our desires and our dreams, which is where we began today. Without that, with that disconnect, with the overthinking, with allowing the overthinking to be, roller coaster into being an overwhelm, I can't tell you how many of my clients are in a space of overwhelm and they're still saying yes. Instead of clearing out the clutter and getting back to basics, they are still saying yes because they're on that proverbial roller coaster that just ramps up instead of getting off for a moment and saying, what is best for me? Instead of connecting with their purpose. Instead of saying, whoa, let's put a pause. I'm not going to get political. However, there was a lot of overwhelm. There was a ton of overwhelm last week, and we put a pause on it. And things are just kind of going to be quiet for a while because people are beginning to listen to what is best from their inside instead of from their emotions. Becoming the sacred observer of your reactions is vital. Allowing yourself to soothe the chatter, quiet the chatter, right, and not do, allows you to hear what your purpose is. And we're going to start talking about that on Wednesday a lot, going deep into, once you become the sacred observer, listening and guiding yourself to fully understanding what your purpose is, what your God-given, universe-given, spiritual-given purpose is for shining your light, for breathing your air, for expressing yourself. We're going to be doing a lot of that on Wednesday, deepening that understanding of ourselves. So we're coming to the end here. Oh, I'm going over a little bit, but we're coming to the end. And I want you to share your ahas. Annie, thank you for stepping in. And share this out. The more you comment, the more you share. One of the things I know is that you're not alone in this path of challenge, of overthinking and being in overwhelm. And finding your light and living your truth and fully loving your life is not easy. But what's the alternative? Following your light, living your truth, and loving your life is not easy. But what's the alternative? Living in depression, not fully experiencing and being present to everything that's going on with your family, with your friends, not being able to hold a sacred space for people so that they can feel love and compassion and supported. What's the alternative? Not doing your better best at work, not finding work that fully aligns with who you are so that you can enjoy, joy life. But you're not alone. So many of us have gone through that. And so today's raffle, for the person who comments the most and shares this video out there, is Cultivating Joy. It's an inspiration for a woman's soul. There are over 26 women who have shared their stories in here of what it's taken when they've gotten to the point where joy is not there, and how to step through it to find joy. It's lessons that life gives us. They give us lessons that, you know, sometimes are great, sometimes are wonderful. You know, you embrace a wedding, and it was just a beautiful experience. And what's the lesson in that? You know, what did you see? What did you observe? What did you feel? What did you sense? There are other times, and I share in this book, I'm one of the co-authors, where lessons in life are given to us and we don't want them. We don't want that lesson. We don't want to have to go through the experience to get that lesson. We'll never understand why we have to go through that experience, but we understand the lesson on the outcome. And the women, these courageous women, have shared that in this. So that's the book raffle for this video. I will announce who's won it on Wednesday morning. So you have 48 hours, actually about 46, before my team in the morning can run over to me with the number with who has won that. So up until 8 a.m. on Wednesday morning, October 3rd, you can share this video and comment on it, and you can be a candidate for winning this Cultivating Joy raffle. So I am very much excited to be sharing time with you today, Wednesday, Friday, and then next Monday, to really help you step through, stop overthinking, right? Step away from being overwhelmed, start sitting into the quietude anytime, anywhere, and there are special ways you can do that, so that you can get the answers from within, so that you can start stepping forward, understanding your purpose, knowing your passions, and growing. Good morning, Peggy Winters. I hope you're having a great day. It is a great book. So that's the book today. And if you have the book, if you win and you have the book, I have a few other things that I will substitute for your helping comment and helping share. So if you had the book and it's something that you want substituted, I've got your back. All right, everybody? So remember, as you go through the next 48 hours before we come back together, to look at the element of air, water, fire, and earth, and how you can start infusing it in your life. Where can you catch yourself, and how can you use air in your thought processes? How are you emotionally responding to things and then reacting? And how can you catch yourself and cool off using the element of water? Physically, where are you feeling things, and how can you step up and allow the element of earth to enhance your vibration, to elevate your confidence by connecting to the love of Mother Earth? How does that resonate with you physically? And then spiritually, how can you use the element of fire to reconnect with the faith that you have in the universe and trust in your steps going forward? So use those. Come back on Wednesday and share that with me. Come back in the next 46 hours and share that in the links as comments, and I will be able to support you and hold space for you, that aspect of you growing forth, so that you can follow the light, live your truth, and love your life. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great day, everybody. Keep smiling.